Well, it's a great honor to be recognized.
Hockey, one of Canada's national sports. Across Turtle Island, Indigenous people play the game and love the game.
He scores! To Mr. Fred Sasakamu.
You get a rush, just like adrenaline rush, like it's just a really good feeling like when you step on the ice.
But hockey has a dark side.
I faced racism before, but not at this level. It's too much.
And in the arena of reconciliation, some Mi'kmaq want recognition.
And one thing consistent about the evolution of hockey is the Mi'kmaq are always a part of it.
The Mi'kmaq are staking a claim on hockey, its origins and its future. "17-year-old Erin Denny is Mi'kmaq. She's a forward on the McIntyre Panthers, a female midget AAA team in Cape Breton.
I really like the team environment, the feel that you get like when you step on the ice, especially like for like a big game or something, like have the fans cheering, the music blasted, just going out for like warm up or something is a really cool feeling.
Denny is the only Mi'kmaq player on her team, but she's never encountered racism.
Like they find it more cool that I'm like Mi'kmaq or whatever, and they like try to learn more about like me and like my language and all that.
Hockey has opened up doors. Denny will be on the upcoming season of APTN's popular show, Hit the Ice.
We see you as one of the top 6 forwards in our group here, so.
But a week into filming, Denny has to make a hard choice: stay on the show or head back home for a chance to play for Team Nova Scotia at the Canada Games.
If I go back to Canada Games tryouts, then maybe I'll make the team and possibly get my foot in the door with Team Canada.
But the continuity of the Mi'kmaq playing a game on ice.
Cheryl Maloney is on a hockey quest of her own. She's showing a documentary she's produced about the Mi'kmaq role in the history of hockey.
They had these long sticks that look like hockey sticks.
And I often thought, why don't we just claim the game? But it's because of how we recount history in Canadian society and how they want a birthplace or how they want an invention or a copyright or a patent. We don't have that. And so I thought, well, you know what, that's not our fault. So we started looking into it, and the first piece was these hockey sticks.
Maloney visits the Halliburton House Museum in Windsor, Nova Scotia. Written records date the first game on ice in Windsor to the early 1800s. Trina Norman is president of the Windsor Hockey Heritage Society. She shows Maloney a century-old Mi'kmaq-crafted hockey stick, as old as the NHL.
Like the grooves, just beautiful.
They cut, and they cut the grooves to help make it easier to handle the puck.
It's quite amazing to actually be here, to see it, to touch it. And I can't believe I'm becoming a hockey expert. It's like I never thought this would happen.
It sucks you in. There's so much that we don't know.
So the Moffat stick is really a traditional hurley.
Hockey historian David Carter has a replica of a stick dating back to 1835. Most likely made by the Mi'kmaq in Cape Breton, the original sold for $300,000.
It's now at the Canadian Museum of History, and it's deemed to be the earliest known ice hockey stick. It's definitely something to be celebrated. It's such a rich history.
The Mi'kmaq were master carvers. Around the turn of the 20th century, they found a niche in the market as the game of hockey took hold.
One of the most important records that I've found from Indian agent records is from 1909-10 for the Colchester district, in which the agent claimed that they made 1,000 dozen sticks. That's 12,000 sticks.
Mi'kmaq hockey sticks were shipped all over the world. The Star Manufacturing Company got in on the action, selling Mi'kmaq sticks. Favored by the Rideau Hall Rebels, Lord Stanley's sons played on this team, and he would later donate the much-coveted cup. But who created hockey? It's a debate that's raged for decades. There are claims in Europe, Montreal, Kingston, Ontario, Northwest Territories.
Sandy Julian stopped carving hockey sticks, but he didn't hang up his skates until
One of the first stories I did for APTN was on Mi'kmaq hockey history.
But before there were the Indian Brook Hawks, Toronto Maple Leafs, and the Montreal Canadiens, before there was hockey, there was hurley. And long before that, the Mi'kmaq played Uchamkanudik, a game on ice named after the stick or handle used to play.
So they were playing on those frozen inlets of Halifax Harbor by themselves before the game of hurley came along. And their influence, I think, must have been very great on the development of the game of ice hockey, Canada's game.
The late Garth Vaughan wrote, "The puck starts here," pivotal to Windsor, Nova Scotia's claim to the game. David Carter says hockey wasn't created in one single place at one time.
But everything points to Nova Scotia being what I would call a crossroads. In Nova Scotia, what we have are mentions of the game over time. You know, we're able to connect dots to the game we know today as ice hockey.
The game in 1875 that went to Montreal and the beginning of the modern-day evolution came from Halifax, Dartmouth, Mi'kmaq territory. They were sending for the sticks. They were sending for the rules. It's very much comes from Mi'kmaqi.
Shows Tony's hockey sticks.
Maloney is searching for clues to the Mi'kmaq contribution beyond the hockey stick.
We're kind of taking back what belonged to the Mi'kmaq and rebuilding that story that was broken, I guess. Because that's what the story is turning into, not about who created hockey, but reconciliation with Nova Scotians and the Mi'kmaq role.
And I think it's something that we can work on together. Yeah.
The Eskasoni First Nation loves hockey.
If you're like in Eskasoni, like there's probably not a moment that there's not someone like talking about hockey. Like let's say you go to my school, every kid's probably talking about hockey there and talking about playoffs or tryouts coming up, tournaments coming up, and it's really cool to have that like environment.
Denny has high hopes in hockey once she graduates high school.
I know that I have my community and family behind me, and it's like really nice to know that I have that support and they're like with me like no matter what.
Oh, I'm so proud of her. Like I feel like we accomplish a lot too because we're the ones that are always like helping her and like you know, we're her support system and it's all her hard work and dedication. Like we're just the chauffeurs and but it's all her.
I guess the difference between, like, let's say me, for example, and just people who like to just go out and have fun is I have a goal and I want to reach that goal and I really, really want to make it there.
Denny made the tough choice to leave APTN's Hit the Ice for tryouts back home.
And she's going to be deeply missed.
Denny not only made Team Nova Scotia, she made history as the first Mi'kmaq girl to ever make the cut.
It was really cool. I really got like a lot of like attention because of it. Like I don't really like want attention, but it was really cool to like be recognized.
As for playing at the Canada Games,
I'm only 17, but it was probably like my like best memory of like my life.
But what happens when Indigenous players face racism in hockey?
They're doing the war cry stuff, like the whoa, whoa, whoa.
I've never seen something like that in my life.
And what are the opportunities for reconciliation? Fresh ice and another weekend at the rink for Aaron Denny. This time, provincial tryouts.
The number of girls that play hockey is like really, it's awesome. Like I'm proud. Like any girl that plays hockey, like I'm really proud of them because it's not just a boys game. It's the girls can play as good as the boys play. So.
In Quebec, the First Nations Elites hockey team wants to claim space in the AAA League to showcase talented Indigenous players.
These kids want to play and they love this game, and you know, our goal is for this program to get exposure to the scouts.
We need to have the 1-2-2 going this weekend, and everybody...
Tommy Neposh created the First Nations Elites.
Because there's so much talent up there. Believe me, it's hiding and it's just sitting, doing nothing. Believe me, and that's the reason why I made this program.
You're going to be sideboards.
I take pride in being a First Nation, and I have a lot of pride playing for that team.
But at a tournament in Quebec last year, the AAA boys team faced racism from the moment they entered the arena.
War cries, like, you know, the hands over the mouths and like that stuff, calling us savages, telling us to go home, we pay our taxes for you.
I went up to the ref and I was just like, look, are you seeing this? Like, this is like racist and this is like wrong.
One kid screamed to the boy and told him, we pay for your houses, why don't you go back home?
Neposh recorded what was happening. Parents did the tomahawk chop and shouted racist taunts. Savages in French.
It's sad that it's there, you know, but it's reality. It's still there. It's 2018 last year, and it's still there, you know.
The video went viral and sparked a reaction. NHL players reached out to the First Nation Elites. A practice with assistant coach of the Winnipeg Jets and an invitation to an Ottawa game from Ryan O'Reilly.
These kids are doing something they love, and no one should ever affect, or make you change doing what you love to do.
You look up to all these guys like here on the ice. It's a good moment.
You know, it showed you that like people did care about, like how it doesn't belong in our game.
Our main goal is to get this movement and say that racism still exists, and it shouldn't exist in hockey. So once we got contacted by an NHL player, it was something very special for the boys.
We play as one. This isn't individual.
A year later, and the First Nation Elites are determined. They're back on the ice at another tournament, still chasing the hockey dream.
The main goal is to have fun in hockey, and no matter what race you are, and well, hopefully one day it will change things in the future. Like every tournament, every arena should have one. Zero tolerance, racism. If you're a racist, you don't belong in hockey.
Indigenous people are reclaiming hockey.
Go blue.
APTN partnered with TSN to broadcast an NHL game with the plays called in Cree.
Our hope is that we build these bridges between people.
Hockey brings people together.
Yes! Yes!
Even if family members are rooting for opposing teams. Mary Denny, Aaron's mother, is a Toronto Maple Leafs fan. But Boston beat the Leafs in the opening series of the playoffs. Her father, Levi Denny, is a lifelong Boston Bruins fan. Rivalries in the Mi'kmaq community of Eskasoni are legendary.
Number one. We have so much fun with hockey nowadays, and I got my Bruins fridge. I think it's all between Montreal, Toronto, and Boston.
When Denny isn't driving his kids to hockey, he's watching it.
We really, really love hockey. We really do. Yeah.
The Mi'kmaq do love hockey. It's embedded in the Mi'kmaq language.
Hockey stick is gudaki. Like, don't take your gudaki with you, right? Take your stick with you. Keep your, gudaki on the ice, right? So keep your stick on the ice.
Deep slot centering to Savard. Stick handling center and a shot and a save rebound. They score!
We have words like duat, meaning shoot it out, shoot it out of the zone. We're not Hollywood at school, right?
Put it to the far side.
Check it. Well, what we say is,
The slap shot, or shoot it at the net.
Jordan Nolan taps it home in LA.
The language and love of the game are there, but somewhere along the line, the Mi'kmaq lost their sense of ownership of hockey, and that's really what Cheryl Maloney is looking for.
To me, it's like reconciliation and evolution together. The problem is nobody's ever recognized the Mi'kmaq role.
Hi, welcome to the Millbrook Cultural and Heritage Center. Hello, nice to meet you. Good to see you.
Maloney and her sister April, who produced and directed their documentary, meet up with Garrett Glode, a senior researcher at the Millbrook Cultural Heritage Center.
The sticks that were used and were preferred were actually carved hockey sticks by our very own Mi'kmaq people. So I do believe this one was carved in 1910. We perfected it, and you can actually see it within the construction of the hockey stick, how it was carved. It was carved in length and actually with the grain of the wood. It was all part of ceremony. It was all medicine. It was all good medicine. When you think about colonization, they seen how proud our people actually were doing that, so they took it away and made it their own. A way to go forward is actually bringing these beautiful things to light. A very long time.
We need to show that the history and the input is there, but we were always sort of like just a one-liner at the end, by the way. No one's ever put it together.
There are references to the Mi'kmaq playing a game on ice back in 1749, but written records for the Mi'kmaq game are few and far between. In 1943, Joe Cope, a Mi'kmaq elder, waded into an ongoing debate on the origins of hockey. He wrote, "The honor and credit wholly belongs to the Mi'kmaq Indians of this country, for long before the palefaces strayed to this country, the Mi'kmaqs were playing 2 ball games, a field, and ice game."
And this is going to be more of a family.
In her research, Maloney found out Cope is her great-grandfather.
To find out that connection, and then also to find out that this fellow, Joe Cope, was not just wrote in the paper, but during his lifetime, would debate with anyone that the Mi'kmaq invented this game. And then I thought, well, why did we lose that oral history?
And so you can see essentially evolution right there in this one picture.
Hockey historian David Carter says hockey is less about invention and more about innovation.
I think the spirit of the game comes from various threads, and Mi'kmaq is certainly part of that tradition. The message is that the Nova Scotians are the originators of the global game. We have the deepest roots. I think we have a collective story here to share and be extremely proud of.
This is a shared history. And I think that's a big part of the message now that's been coming out of the film. This is a shared history. The film started out with them that big.
In May, Maloney premiered her documentary on the Mi'kmaq roots of hockey.
I don't think we can reduce racism by one film or documentary story, but I think what we can do is build pride among our children.
Is sliding away.
Our audience isn't the International Hockey Society. Our audience isn't independent researchers. Our audience is the Mi'kmaq children, the Mi'kmaq people.
It was hockey.
And the reaction?
And they really put a Mi'kmaq lens on telling a Mi'kmaq story.
Maloney's most important title may just be Hockey Mum. She's put thousands of kilometers on her car, spent hours at the rink.
To me, this is bigger than hockey. This is about Indigenous people and our role within Canadian society, the loss of our names, our place names, our games. So it's a bigger story than just trying to claim this is where hockey started. It's not about where hockey started. It was the contributions of Indigenous peoples to the country we live in now, and sort of taking that back, especially for our kids. Hockey's a really tough sport to be in.
Erin Denny says it's cool her Mi'kmaq ancestors contributed to the game she loves. She sees a future with Mi'kmaq NHL players, and for herself, a spot on Team Canada, carving the way for younger Mi'kmaq girls to skate.
Being a girl playing hockey, we're like really underestimated, and I feel I can compete with the boys, so whenever I get a chance, I go out with the boys and I try to show them like what girls can really do.
Thanks for joining us for our historic Season 10. We'll be working on your stories throughout the summer. If you want to get in touch, email us at investigates@aptn.ca or messages on Facebook. We'll see you in the fall.